Hi everyone, welcome to your second lesson on areas of triangles and compound shapes. Today we're going to focus mostly on compound shapes, but before we begin, please could you do the warm-up, which are just finding the areas of these three triangles. Please press pause and then I'll go through the solutions with you. Okay guys, well done for doing those. I'm just going to split screen this for us so that we can look at the solutions together. Okay, lovely, that goes there. And let's get that camera going. And turn the light on so that you can see. There we go, lovely. Right, so the first triangle, okay, let's grab a ruler so this is nice and tidy for you. Okay, so for the first triangle we had 6 centimeters and 8 centimeters, and remember when we're finding the area of the triangle it is equal to base times height all divided by 2. In this case that is equal to 8 times 6 divided by 2, which is 48 divided by 2, or 24 centimeters squared. So well done if you got that. Give yourself a tick. Okay. For our second one, okay, I'm not going to draw this one because it's beside us. Okay, for part B, we had a base equal to 7 meters and we had a height equal to 5 meters. So when we found the area, which is base times height divided by 2, that was equal to 7 times 5 divided by 2, or 35 divided by 2. Half of 30 is 15, and half of 5 is 2.5, so that is 17.5. And don't forget meters squared for the units. And finally, part C, we had this lovely, interesting triangle. I am actually going to draw this one because its orientation is different than maybe what you're used to. There we go. Okay. And what they've done is they've drawn in the perpendicular height for us. And they've told us that that is 12 centimeters. Okay. And that this side is 8 centimeters. So that is your base. And the 12 is your height. Okay. So we're now going to put that into our formula. Area is base times height divided by 2, which is equal to, in this case, 8 times 12 divided by 2, which is equal to 96 divided by 2. Okay, and if we're doing this mentally, half of 90 is 45, and half of 6 is 3. 45 plus 3 is 48, and in this case, centimeters squared. Okay, so hopefully you guys were okay with that starter. All right, we're going to look at compound shapes today, though. So let's take a look at this particular shape here. All right, the shape we have in the PowerPoint is made up of two shapes, and that's why we call it a compound shape. It's made up of a rectangle and a triangle. I think it's important when you do these questions that you make sure you do draw your diagrams. Okay, it allows us to then split up the diagram into the sections that we need. And so it would be useful for you to please draw them. They don't need to be to scale, okay, so you don't have to take out your ruler and actually measure them, but the diagram needs to be there. Okay, so let's take a look. They told us that this is 1 centimeter, going from there to there. They told us that this is 5 centimeters, going from there to there. We have 2 centimeters in this section, 5 centimeters here, okay, and 8 centimeters here. Okay, now what I'm hoping you notice is that I can split this up into two shapes. Okay, I can split it up into that triangle and also the rectangle below. Now, when I look at the rectangle, which I'm going to call area 1, okay, area 1 is going to be length times width. Well, the length is 8 and the width is 5. So that is 8 times 5, which is equal to 40 centimeters squared. So just a reminder for your rectangles, area is equal to length times width. Okay, and that is for a rectangle. Right, we've also got our triangle, and at the moment I've got the height of the triangle, because there's my right angle, so my height is 5, but I don't know the base yet, so I have to calculate that. Now if I look at the horizontals here, I have 8 centimeters, 1 centimeter, and 2 centimeters. Okay, so when I'm finding this, I'm going to need to subtract the 1 and the 2 from the 8 to find the remainder. All right, and 8, take away 1 is 7, take away another 2 is 5. So that means that our base of that triangle is 5 centimeters. So we're going to call this area 2, and area 2 is going to be equal to base times height divided by 2, which is equal to 5 times 5 divided by 2, which is 25 divided by 2, or half of 20 is 10, half of 5 is 2.5, so 12.5, and that's centimeters squared. You're not finished yet because we found both areas separately. To finish the question, we have to say that the total area is equal to the sum of those, so that's 40 plus 12.5, which is equal to 52.5 centimeters squared. And that finishes off that question. Right, so we're going to now work on 4 problems, okay? But the problems are a little bit more involved, and that's why we're only going to do 4 today. All right, I'm going to show them to you one at a time, and then you'll pause the video, you'll try it, and then we'll talk about it. But we're going to do one at a time so that we can break up the different problems, because they're all slightly different from each other. Okay, so I'm going to make that bigger so that while you're doing it, when you pause the video, you can see that more easily. There we go. Okay, so please pause the video and try question 8. Okay, well done guys. Let's take a look at question 8 now together. There we go. Okay. So in question 8, what they told you is that you have a compound shape made from 2 congruent triangles and a rectangle. Now we have to remind you that congruent means the same. So that would mean that congruent shapes are the same. Okay, which means those 2 triangles will have the same area. So we only need to find the area of one of the triangles and then multiply it by 2. So let's get our shape drawn, which is what you guys should have done as well. Okay, again, these don't have to be perfect, but they're just diagrams to help you when you're answering the question. Okay, they don't have to be to scale. They need to look like the diagram, but you don't need to measure the sides. Okay? Right, okay, and I told us that they're congruent, so I know that they're the same as each other. So this is 4 centimeters. I'm going to leave out the centimeters because it's hard to fit in there. Okay, then that means this is also 4 centimeters. They've told us that we have 8 centimeters going across. All right, and they've told us that this length here is 6 centimeters, which would also mean for my 2 triangles that these are 6 centimeters each. So the advantage of having your diagram is you can label those sides and the measurements very easily. Now, let's work out the total area of the shape. Okay, so we're going to start with the triangle. Okay, remembering that there's two of them, but we're only going to look at one first. Okay, so let's have a think. We have area is equal to base times height divided by 2. I know for my triangle that the base is 6 and the height is 4. So that is 6 times 4 divided by 2, which is 24 divided by 2, which is equal to 12 centimeters squared. Okay, we have two of them. And so we are going to now, for the two triangles, multiply that by 2. Okay, so 12 times 2 is equal to 24 centimeters squared. And that's the area of the two triangles. Right, let's now look at the area of the rectangle. We know that rectangles, okay, to get their area, it's length times width. So let's do that. The length is 8 and the width is 6. So the area is going to be equal to 8 times 6, which is 48 centimeters squared, which means to finish, I need to have my total area, which is the sum of all the areas together, adding them up. Right, total area is equal to 24 plus the 48. 24 plus 48, I don't know, we may not be able to do that in our heads, so let's have a look. 24, 48. 8 plus 4 is 12. Carry the 1, okay? And 2 plus 4 is 6, plus the 1 is 7. So that is 72 centimeters squared for our total area. Well done. Okay. You're now going to try the next question, please, which is question 9. So can you pause your video? Please look at the hint. It will help you with it. Okay. And make sure that you answer part A and part B in this problem. Right. Pause your video now. Okay, guys, welcome back. Let's take a look at question 9. Okay, so this time we have a compound shape again, except they haven't given us all the measurements inside the shape. Okay, so the last question they've given us a little bit more. We have to work out a few ourselves for this question. So let's draw our shape. It looks to me like we've got a triangle on top of a rectangle. Looks very much like a house as a result. Okay, again, really important that when you work these out, you have a diagram to help you. Okay, and to make life easier, we're going to split this into two shapes. Okay, right, we know that those are right angles in the diagram. This is 1.2 meters. This bit here is 1.5 meters. Okay, and our height here is 0.5 meters. So now we can do the question. Part A says, what is the area of the window? Give your answer in square meters. Okay, so this is a window. He makes stained glass windows, and that's why it's an interesting shape. Okay, but that's not actually helpful to the question. We need to find its area. So we have two shapes. First area is a rectangle. Okay, and the second area is a triangle, so I'm going to call that A2. Area 1 is going to be length times width, which we know is 1.2 times 1.5. Now, we are allowed a calculator for this question, okay, because 1.2 times 1.5 is not necessarily the easiest thing to do. So let's grab our calculator. Okay, 1.2 times 1.5 is, when we press the SD button, 1.8. Okay, so this is 1.8 meters squared. For the second area, we are doing base times height divided by 2 because it's a triangle. Okay, our base is the same as the 1.2. It's parallel. Okay, so we have 1.2 times the height of that triangle, which is 0.5, all divided by 2. Okay, since it's a calculator question, we can go straight to our calculator. Here is our fraction button. Don't forget to press that first. 1.2 times 0.5, all divided by 2. And press the SD button. That gives us 0.3 meters squared. To finish part A, we need to find the total area. So total area will be equal to the sum of these. So that's 1.8 plus 0.3, which gives us a final answer of 2.1 meters squared for our total area. We're not finished the question though. There is a part B, okay, which says, what is the cost of the glass for this window, given that the stained glass costs £153 per square meter? Okay, well, we know that we have 2.1 square meters. So to find out the cost, we have to multiply that by the cost per meter. So we know that the cost overall will be 153 times 2.1, because that's how many square meters we have, and we're allowed our calculator, so let's do that. 153 times 2.1 is equal to 321.3. However, this is money, so we're going to say 0.30 and put our pound sign. Done. Lovely work. Okay, so time to look at question 10, please. Make that full screen for you. Okay, can you now pause the video and try question 10? Don't forget to have a diagram. Okay, guys, well done. Let's take a look at the question. Okay. Right, so in question 10, we have another compound shape. This is a bit different, okay? We can actually think of this in two ways, and I'm going to show you both ways to do this question. But first, I need my diagram. Draw the top bit a little bit longer because I know it's going to come down, and then cut across to make that diagonal bit. Okay, there we go. Right, lovely. Okay, let's get our measurements in. We have 9 meters, 4 meters, 5 meters, and 7 meters. And the question has said this garden is a rectangle shape with a triangle cut off. Calculate the area of the garden. Right. Well, there are two ways to do this question. Okay, and I'm going to show you the one with more steps first and then show you a slightly easier way. All right, so the one with more steps, okay, which you might have done, it's not a problem, it still works, is to split this up into 3 different shapes. Okay, and those 3 different shapes are 2 rectangles and a triangle. So we're going to call it area 1, area 2, and area 3. Okay? We're going to do this. We need to make sure we have all of our measurements ready for our triangle and also for the 2 rectangles. So I know that this is 4. Okay, and if we're looking at our horizontals, I have a 9 and a 5. 9 minus 5 is 4, so I know that this section is also 4. Okay, and the last bit I need to find is here. So my verticals are 7, and 4. So I'm left with 7 minus 4, which is 3. So that part is 3. Okay? So now that I've got all my measurements, I can look at each shape separately. So let's look at area 1 first. This is a rectangle, so let's say its length times the width. Okay, and that's going to be 7 times 5 because those are the two sides of that rectangle. So 7 times 5 is equal to 35 meters squared. Okay, moving to area 2, which is another rectangle, meaning we're doing length times width again. Okay, so that's 4 times 4. Those are the two sides, okay, of this rectangle, 4 by 4. So 4 times 4, which is 16 meters squared. That brings us to area 3, which is our triangle. Okay, we can see there's a right angle. So I know the base is 4 and the height is 3. So this is base times height divided by 2, which is 4 times 3 divided by 2, 12 divided by 2, which gives me 6 meters squared. Right, we're not done. It did ask for the entire area of the garden. So once we have those, we need to add them together. So the total area would be equal to 35 plus 16 plus 6. Let's write this out this way so that it's easier to add. 5 add 6 is 11, add another 6 is 17. Make sure that you carry the 1. And 3 plus 1 is 4 plus 1 is 5. So our total area is equal to 57 meters squared. Right. So that involved 3 shapes. So 3 separate steps, even more steps if you include looking for these lengths. Okay, so let's draw this again and look at another way to solve this. Okay, so again, this is 9 meters, 4 meters, 7 meters, and 5 meters. The question gave us a little bit of a hint. It said that there was a triangle cut off. So that's actually what I'm going to pretend has happened. I'm going to draw in that triangle and pretend that we've cut it off. Okay, and what this means is I'm only going to need 2 shapes, and I'm going to be subtracting. My first shape is the entire rectangle, okay, which we'll call area 1, and my second shape, which I'm taking away, is the triangle. Right, in order to do this, okay, I need to make sure that I know these sides. This bit here, I'm going to get by subtracting this and this. So they're both horizontal, so they go together. So 9 minus 5 is 4. Okay, and the other side we're going to get by doing 7 minus 4 because they were both vertical. They go together, and 7 minus 4 is 3. Okay, so once again, to get the total area, we're going to do the first area, which is everything, including the triangle we're cutting out, and I'm going to take away the area of the triangle. So let's find area 1. This time, since it's the entire rectangle here, it's 9 by 7. So we're going to do 9 times 7, which is 63 meters squared. We can then look at area 2. We know that area 2 would be base times height divided by 2. In this case, that's 3 times 4 divided by 2, which is 6, okay, meters squared. Now we subtract. So let's take a look. We're going to have 63 minus 6, which is, make that a 5, 13, 7, and then 5 minus 0 is 5. Okay, and we get the same answer, so our area for the shape is 57 meters squared. However, I think lots of you will find that quite logical and maybe easier than our first method. But what you'll see is that they both worked, so it doesn't matter which method you choose. Okay, but well done on that. Right. So that ends my explanations for this lesson. What I would like you guys to do, okay, for fun, is to try this challenge question, please. It will allow you to draw an accurate Scottish flag, okay?